Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations, and this is another layout in response to the 30-day photo challenge that Shamel Lane has put on, and this is for day 27, and it's called Just the Scraps Ma'am. So here you're going to see me making a layout completely of scraps, including the background paper. I've got that white paper laying down there as a guide to get the other two scraps of paper to fit one 12 by 12. So I'm going to remove that 12 by 12 white paper from the back once these scraps are put together to complete to make a complete 12 by 12 layout. So that striped paper at the bottom there is from Echo Park's Game On collection. Most of these papers are pretty old, and that's why they're in my scrap bin. The upper half of that page is now going to be made from Pink Paisley's Hey Kid, and it's a aqua grid. And then the green paper that's forming the stripe across the center of the page is from Pink Paisley's Atlas collection. And you can see there I've got a piece of paper that has a wood grain frame, and that's from Simple Stories, and that's one of their newer collections. I'm not sure what the name of it is. It was also in my scraps, and the branding strip was cut off of it. The photo there is my son at one of his first Cub Scout meetings as a Tiger Scout or Tiger Cub, and so I wanted to document that he was participating in Cub Scouts, and at this very first meeting they are making homemade Rainsticks from PVC pipe. So this layout title will be called Rainsticks. That additional green paper with the diagonal polka dots, that is from Studio Calico's Wanderlust collection. And the other papers behind there, the blue, is just a blue piece of cardstock. Now I've gone through my letter stickers and I'm trying to find things that match, and I've found a couple of greens, and then that Amy Tangerine, the orange. The green would have worked as well on that page, but I really liked how the orange contrasted the green stripe, and so I ultimately went with that. It is a bit of a translucent letter. It's a flat sticker, but I liked the font, and I thought it tied his Cub Scout uniform in nicely there. Sorry about the blur there. I think the camera might have been focusing on my head. Sorry about my head in your way there too. These letters are a little bit on the delicate side, so I'm trying to get them lined up without ripping them. I used my Boss Cut Gazelle and cut a lot of different clouds and raindrops from varying pieces of blue pattern paper that I had in my stash or in my scrap bin. Some of those are really old, probably from the early 2000s, especially the piece in my hand right there. And I know one of them is a Bow Bunny back-to-back beach therapy paper and an authentique piece from By the Sea. I just wanted to choose a lot of different blues that would lend itself to the layering and give dimension. And those clouds will be popped up on foam, dimensional foam, to give a nice bit of dimension to the layout. Another way I like to add dimension to the layout is by inking a lot of the things that go into my layouts. In this particular case, I'm using Walnut Stain from Tim Holtz Distress Inks, and I tend to use that one quite a bit. It's one I pretty much have on hand with me all the time, whether I'm scrapbooking at home or away. And I know a lot of people don't do that anymore, but I still tend to like the way it looks and the way that it differentiates the different pieces of paper. Later on in this video, you're going to see me putting down some raindrops below all of these clouds, and those were cut on my Boss Cut Gazelle as well, which is very similar to a Silhouette, Cameo, or a Cricut machine. And before peeling them off of the cutting mat, I added some Goosebumps clear texture spray to the raindrops to give them some texture and make them look a little glossy and wet. Now I've gone through a lot of my stickers and pulled out some things I think will work, and found this That a Boy sticker in one of the old crate paper collections. I believe it's called Toy Box, and I like how that looked. It coordinated with the wood grain and the blue, and this blue, it was a blue tab that I folded over, is from the same collection. I stuck that up in the corner on the right hand side to balance out the photo and add a little interest to that side of the picture. I am pulling off some arrows from different Bella Boulevard sticker sheets that I think will work. And I'm looking at this word you, and I like the wood grain in it, and I'm going to play with it a little bit here, but ultimately it really just doesn't work. It's a little bit dark for the page, and I really don't think it needed anything more than Rainsticks as the title. So I've kind of decided I'm not going to use that, and I've gone on to putting down the arrows and inking things. And that a Boy sticker, I put it down on some fun foam to add some more dimension, and I'm going to just keep going with the arrows, and I like this one a little bit on the simple side. Now that little half circle tab, I couldn't decide if it was going to be better at the top or at the side of the photo. Ultimately, I've decided to put it on the right hand side, and I will use a roller date stamp for it. And the roller date stamp that I use is an October Afternoon Decade stamp. Since these photos were done back in 2005, I needed a roller date stamp that went back pretty far. And so I keep the October Afternoon Decade stamp on hand because I am frequently working with a lot of old photos. I have that stamp for the 1990s, the 1980s, and the 2000s, and it's come in very handy. Now I'm using the little words from Tim Holtz. I think it's one of his small talk or chit chat stickers, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere a couple of words to each of these cloud clusters, and I'm using my fine line bottle to make sure they are stuck down nice and secure. And in my fine line bottle I have some 3D crystal lacquer by sakuracraft.com, and I really like it. It dries pretty quickly, and I can also put it on top of things and let it dry overnight, and it'll look like plastic. I think it's a lot like glossy accents in that way. And I ended up with a bottle of that long before I ever heard of glossy accents, and that's what I've stuck with. It flows really nicely through the fine line bottle, and if it starts to get a little sticky in there and not flow very well, I just warm it up, run it under warm water, and it clears right up. I do have to make sure that the lid goes back on pretty quickly, otherwise it does get a little bit goopy. Here are the raindrops that I had mentioned before. I'm taking those off of my cutting mat, and I'm going to adhere those to the page below each of the cloud clusters. And once I finish that, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more of that Goosebump spray in each area to give a little bit more of the wet effect to the page. And once I get the date stamp down and the journaling, I believe that's about it. Thank you for joining me today, and if you like this video, go ahead and give a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see some more, please subscribe. I'm so happy to have had you join me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.